own science. Now, for instance, in quantum mechanics, there's something called the collapse of the wave function, which is effectively the act of observation by a mind, or the act of measurement, collapses and changes a subatomic particle from being statistically anywhere in the universe to being in a particular location in a particular place. It's the implication of something called the twin slit experiment, or the double slit experiment, which is the most mysterious discovery ever in science. Sure. Now, I apply this and I say, well, if this is the case, we are all collapsing the wave function of our intentions, which means that, and I argue that we are all existing in this super complex game of life, and all of our lives interface and overlap in particular ways, like our lives are overlapping now. And I call this the egregorial. It's the created world that we exist in. It's something that the Hindus would call Maya. Okay. And modern science is more and more coming to the conclusion that this is how the universe works. It works on holographic principles. It works on mathematical principles. Because the universe we see around us, that we think is so solid, is 99, well, giving the example of, say, the hydrogen atom, is 99.99999999996 empty space. Every single hydrogen atom, and other atoms are slightly less or slightly more, but the thing still proves the fact. Every atom has a tiny thing called a nucleus, and it has electrons whizzing around, but all of it's empty space. And electrons are point particles, which means they have no extension in space. Then you have the nucleus itself, which is made up of protons and neutrons. But protons and neutrons are made up in turn of things called quarks or quarks. Yeah. And by the way, people argue I always pronounce it wrong, quark. It's not. That's how the guy who came up with the idea wanted them to be pronounced. So just to point that out. But anyway, so we'll use quarks for now. So they're just made up of quarks, and there are 6 different flavors of quark. But quarks themselves are point particles in the same way. So suddenly the physical reality you see around you, suddenly, and this is hard science, this is not new age wacko stuff. So in which case, the only reason that your hand doesn't go through a table or you don't fall through the chair that you're sitting on is what's called electrostatic repulsion. At the edge of each atom is an electron, which is negatively charged in the final shell of the electron. And the electrons in your backside are also at the edge of the shell, and they're negatively charged as well. So when you remember school, 2 negative sides of a magnet, you put them together, they repulse. And that's called electrostatic repulsion. And this is why we never touch anything. So when we feel we are touching something, what we're actually feeling is the electrostatic repulsion. So suddenly, everything we think is solid and real isn't. It's not. It's not there. There's nothing there. It's mostly empty space.